Good day everyone and welcome to Exile News, the weekly show that brings you all the important news and information on Path of Exile, starting with an interview that's going to happen tonight, or rather later today depending on your time zone, and this is between the streamer Talkative3 and Jonathan Roger, who's game director on Path of Exile 2, of course focusing on the new expansion, the new league that's been revealed last Friday, and that we are going to get to play on the next weekend. So yeah, even though you might not like the guy, you can definitely listen to Jonathan Rogers speaking about design philosophies for GGG, which is always pretty interesting regardless of the fact that you might or might not be in favor of those. Also, the league is going to end, the current league is going to end, which is the Rise of the Abyssal, and this is not going to be the end of Abyss, of course. We already knew it was going to happen. The league is going to become core, and we'll see later how it is implemented. So, after the livestream ended, GG released this page where you can see the full livestream back. You can see only the trailer for The Last of the Druid, which is the expansion name. You can see the trailer for the Fate of the Val, which is the league name, or just the content reveal, which is about 42, I think, minutes long, and this is definitely the part that you should watch if you haven't yet, or you can just check the announcement page, which we're going to take a look at very briefly, shortly. There's going to be a free weekend, as we already knew, for the launch weekend, so next weekend, and of course you can buy the access to Path of Exile 2. As always, there's also a lot of media coverage here, which we don't really care about. Still, this is the announcement page where basically GG summarized everything that's going to happen in the league. Of course, the big focus is the new class, that is the Druid, and well, of course, with the Druid came shapeshifting. One thing though, Druid is not the only class that can shapeshift. Actually, as long as you're wearing a talisman, which is a two-handed physical weapon, or martial weapon as they call it, you can shapeshift with any class. So the Druid just has better synergies, probably because they're going to start in a part of the tree that have advantages, I guess, on this. And well, more on those we'll have to know when actually playing. So there's 3 forms that you can shapeshift into. First one is Wolf. It's about cold damage, fast attacks, and yeah, as you can see, it's very lunar type of animal, and yeah, that is why there's cold in there. The second form is the bear. We already knew about the bear for ever since probably the first trailer about the Druid, which was taken, I think, several years ago now. And yeah, the bear is basically a warrior, slamming things, fire attacks, and that kind of stuff. Slower but tougher, obviously fire damage there. Third form is the Wyvern. This was a surprise for many, and Wyvern is more lightning oriented, has some AoE attacks, some ranged attacks, a cleave, as you can see from the short video here, and is definitely pretty interesting. I mean, at least it's kind of different than usual. So we got the 3 elements with 3 different forms, and then the Druid is also a spellcaster with nature themed spells. So you got these branches or vines, green stuff here. There's a tornado. You can water stuff with thunderstorm that also deals lightning damage, and they have access to the spell totem. I mean, like everyone else, I guess. Still, the totems are definitely not what you might think of. They are very different than PoE 1, as you need like 3 power or endurance charges to raise one single totem, so there's definitely a lot of problems to be solved there before being able to use them. Now with the Druid, 2 ascendancies were released. The first one is the Shaman, and the Shaman is all about harnessing Rage, since it has a point where Rage actually works with spells, and then it's about natural spells, so most likely a self-caster or of some sort, maybe a hybrid spellcaster and physical attacker. Second one is the Oracle, and this is a very weird one, as it can kind of predict the future. You can see some monsters, you can see spells before they happen, and you have access to different passives that you get on the passive skill tree. Now when you get the Druid, more passives appear on the passive skill tree, and you can choose those instead of the standard ones. This is very weird. We'll have to see how that pans out when the game actually launches, but it is definitely really interesting. Also, the artwork is absolutely amazing. There's over 30 new support gems, and this is pretty cool. Unlike the new actual skill gems that they released, which are obviously tied all to the shapeshifting and the casting of the Druid, the 30 new support gems work with a lot of things. And of course some will work with the new spells, some just work with everything. And we also got new lineage supports, so these are going to be definitely really interesting for builds and build making. Now there's a lot of changes in the balance, and one of the big changes has been the fact that maps will not scale in monster density between tier 1 to tier 15. Instead, they will scale difficulty of white monsters and scale the loot accordingly. Now this change has divided the community. Some think it's going to be good, some think it's going to be really bad. We'll really have to see how this pans out. This definitely works better for some builds that don't really have huge screen clear. We'll have to see if it helps design from a GG standpoint as well. So yeah, I reserve my judgment, even though in the past other games I played felt really bad when they did this. I trust GG is trying something for a reason, and they will eventually revert back if the change is actually really bad. So I'm going to guess it's going to work out, but yeah, we'll have to see how that goes and how many people will actually be impacted by that. The other thing is the Fate of the Val. Of course, this is the actual new league, so we only talked about the expansion for now. The league is about getting to Aziri and the Vals, and basically what you're doing is killing stuff, activating things, which will let you build up this temple slowly over time, and then you can run it. I think you can run it every time, actually, I'm not sure, but every time you run it you lose some tiles, so you gotta make sure there's a reason for running it, I guess. And yeah, at the end there's a Aziri, and what this league reminds me is basically Incursion plus Synthesis for PoE1. So yeah, we can already see that this league is going to remain. I mean, Aziri is a main character in the PoE1 lore and game, and yeah, it's definitely going to remain throughout PoE2 as well. Also, they seem to have made her look very cool, so really can't wait to see how the fight goes. I probably watch someone else do it, because who knows if I'll ever get there, who knows if I'll ever even play this league, honestly. But still, there's a lot of interesting stuff. Like, of course, since this is a Val expansion, there's a lot of corruption stuff, so you can twice corrupt things, like this armor, and this says twice corrupted. That's pretty crazy. And you can also corrupt yourself, changing parts of your body to some mechanical ones with various modifiers. However, if you die, you will lose them and you'll have to get this part of the temple again. So there's a trade-off there. Also, there's new uniques and new crazy corruptions. This really reminds of the latest Breach League that we got on PoE1 with spatial mods, which overrides current mods on uniques, so you can definitely get some crazy stuff out of that. And there's also corruption for tablets. You can also get your socket balls out of any item now. However, you will destroy the equipment in the process, so be careful about that. There's also new soul cores, which are very different and very strange and very strong. Of course, they are limited to one ancient augment. The socket balls are called augments now, by the way, so that's basically what it is. There's also the Royal Architect, which is a new, basically mini boss. Well, it's going to be a pretty good boss, I guess, that you have to defeat before getting to Aziri. And you can get some very cool lineage supports from him as well, and that is definitely going to be something. And as we already talked, there's also the fight with Aziri that's going to net you some very interesting uniques. Of course, these are not going to be very common, at least at the beginning. We'll have to see how hard Aziri can become. Probably really hard when you're doing her in the hand game, so we'll see. Still, Abyss, as we said, is going core. You will not find an Abyss every map, you will find it every once in a while, just like every other mechanic in PoE1. And there are, of course, tablets to actually spawn and force abysses on your maps, just again like every other mechanic. Of course, the league is starting from next Friday, so yeah, definitely get ready for that. So yeah, just a quick look about the patch notes. These are kind of long, as you can see from the size of the sidebar here, so definitely control have your favorite skill, your favorite thing, and see if anything changed. GGG is also really nice, and at the end of the notes they add the updates since the first time they posted this. So as you can see, a lot of stuff has changed. Actually, I'm surprised there's so much stuff in here. Still, definitely be sure to check those out as well before thinking that your skill may have been safe from the patches, which is something that generally does not happen. Still, that was all for this week, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and a comment down below. Also, if you want to remain updated every week, be sure to subscribe to my channel. That was all. I've been your host Giorgio, and I'll see you guys the next time.